Hi, I'm Mr. Maths, and today we're going to be going for a practice paper. Now this is a Functional Skills Level 2 non-calculator paper. Here's some things to remember. The exam for this is 25 minutes long, so you don't really have much time. So if you get stuck, move on to the next question. There are 16 points available. Remember to show all you're working out. It is really important. That way you get all the marks available. There's no point if you just know the answer, just writing that down. That's not what the examiner wants to see. They need to see how you arrived at that answer. Don't panic. It's really important you don't panic and get stuck wasting time on a question you might not know how to complete. Just move on to the next one if you get stuck. The marks go towards both exams. A pass is between 32 and 38 marks out of a possible 64. So if you get all 16 marks here, you're pretty much halfway to completing Level 2 Functional Skills Maths. Okay, question 1 is split into 2 sections to get you going. These are quite relatively simple. So A and B. A is work out 700 minus 7 squared. So this is a test to show that you know the order of operations and that you can do column subtraction, which with zeros in the top part. So this is quite a nice easy one. It's a 2-pointer, so you've got to show all you're working out to get, don't just put the answer. And the B section is just to show that you know how to find the mode average. And if you've watched one of my previous videos, you'll know that the mode is the most. So the mode is the number that appears the most. First, let's do part A. 7 squared, and if you know your square numbers, that is equals 7 times 7. So that would equal 49. If you know your order of operations, you know that you'd have to do your multiplication first before you do your subtraction. So now we have 700 minus 49. Okay, so this really part of the test is to show that you know how to do column subtraction with zeros in the top number. So this is what we do. So you can't take 9 away from 0. So you move to the next column, but that's a 0 as well. So you have to move to the 7. You cross that out and make that a 6. Making the 0 above the 4 a 10. And then you have to cross that out and make it a 9. And place the 1 next to the 0 above the 9. And then we can do our calculation. 10 minus 9 equals 1. 9 minus 4 equals 5. And then we just bring the 6 down. And there's our answer. So our answer is 651. Well done. Now let's go on to the next question. Okay, so as I've previously said, the next question is finding the mode average. And as we know, the mode is the number that appears the most. So it's probably good practice if you write this down. It's only a 1-mark question. They're only after the answer. But you could show the examiner that you know what you're doing. So the mode equals number that appears the most. So let's go through these numbers. You've got a 29, 31, and a 46, and a 43. There's another 29 there, so there's two of those. There's another 31, there's two of those. There's a 38, there's a 34, there's another 43, there's a 35 and another 43. So if you look, there's three 43s. So your answer to this question is 43. Okay, let's move on to the next question. And the next question is, Ola will run from her house to a local park and back to her house. She sees this sketch of the route she will take. Now, as you can see, she's got her house to the park is 1¼ miles, and from the park round back to her house is 2 3/8 miles. Now, in this question, really what they're asking you to do is to be able to add fractions. We need to make these regular mixed numbers into irregular fractions, and then we have to make those fractions the same so that we can add them up. I'll just walk you through it. So we have 1¼ miles and 2 3/8 miles. So we've got 1¼ miles plus 2 3/8. So first then we make these mixed numbers into irregular fractions. So it's about knowing your times tables really. So we know that 4/4 equal a whole. I might put this here. Equals 1. So we have 1 1/4. So we add 4/4 to that 1/4 and we're going to get 5/4. Now we know 8/8 would equal 1. So we've got two of those, so 2 times 8 is 16, plus the 3/8 we've got there, so 16 plus those 3 is going to equal 19. So plus 19 over 8. Now, we still have to make our denominators the same to be able to complete this calculation. And the way we do this, we use multiplication. We can see that our quarters could be made into eighths if we double the numbers. So whatever we do to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator. So we put times 2 here. We have to do it to the numerator as well, times 2. So what you'll be left with is 10/8. And then we add our 19/8. Can you see how I'm showing all my working out? Because this is a 3-point question. Okay, I'll move over to the next page. Okay, so now we're going to add these fractions together. So we've got 10/8 plus 19/8, and that's going to equal 29/8. As you can see now, we're left with a top-heavy fraction, and what we'd have to do now is make it a mixed number, which is whole numbers and fractions. Now if we know our 8 times table, we can work out how many whole numbers there are in 29. So 1 times 8 is 8, 2 times 8 is 16, 3 times 8 is 24, and 4 times 8 is 32. That's too much. So it's going to be 3 wholes with a remainder of 5/8. And as you can see, with all that calculations what we've done, we've secured our 3 points. So let's move on to the next question. So, Samia is making a filling for a cake. Samia mixes jam, sugar and soft cheese in a ratio of 4:1:16. She uses 32 ounces of soft cheese. Samia knows that 1 ounce equals 28.3 grams. How many grams of jam does Samia need? So first of all, we have to work out our ratios, and they're going to look something like this. So you've got your jam, it's the 4 parts. Sugar will be your 1 part, and your cheese will be your 16 parts. As you can see, she's used 32 ounces of cheese, so that's double 16. So if we double that, we have to double everything else in the ratio to find out how much sugar and jam she's used. So let's do this, but we're only interested in how much jam Samia needs, okay? So we've got the jam and the cheese. That's 16, and we're going to times it by 2, which is going to give you 32. What we do to the cheese, we're going to do to the jam. So there's 4. We're going to times that by 2. It's going to give us 8. Which is 8. So 1 ounce is 28.3 grams. So now we have to times 28.3 by that 8 to find out how much jam she uses. So now we have to use our multiplication. And let's remember to not worry about the decimal point until the very end. I'll just put a reminder here, 1 dp. Okay. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 8 is 64, plus this 2, 65, 66. And 2 times 8 is 16, plus the 6, which makes 22. And then we place our decimal point in at the end. 1 decimal place, we place it there. So our answer is 226.4 grams. Okay, now the second part of the question says use estimation to show a check of your answer. Now, this is a bit of a funny one, but what you need to do is, because you know that it's 8 ounces of jam that Samia needs, and 28.3 is almost 30, I would say we do 8 times 30. 8 times 30 equals, so 3 times 8 is 24, and then we could just add that 0 to make it 240. 240. It's just to show that you know how to estimate numbers. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Jack is a jeweller. He makes a pendant in the shape of a triangular prism, as shown in the diagram. Jack makes the pendant from solid gold. He uses this formula. V equals TL. Now that's a volume, equals T, which is the area of the triangular face, and L, which is the length of the prism. What we're trying to find out is the volume of this prism. But if you look at that V equals TL, I want you to imagine it as V equals T times L. So we're going to do this calculation now, and there's some other bits of information here. Jack knows that mass equals density times volume. The density of the gold is 19 grams per centimetre squared. The cost of 1 gram of gold is 40. Jack sells a pendant for £382 more than the total cost of the gold needed to make the pendant. Okay, let's start doing some calculations for this. Now, the first thing that we have to work out is the area of the triangular face. Now, remember, the area of a triangle is pretty much worked out the same way as an area of a square, but you divide it by 2. Okay, area of triangular face. Area of the triangular face equals the base times the height divided by 2. Now the base, let's put this here, base times height divided by 2. Now the base is, as you can see, 1 centimetre times the height, which is 3, and we divide that by 2. Once times 3 divided by 2 is going to equal 1.5 centimetres squared. 1.5 centimetres squared. That's the area of the triangle. So now we're going to find out the volume of the prism. Okay, so now we're going to take the face area and we're going to multiply it by the length, and the length is 4 centimetres. So let's put this here. Volume equals the triangular face, T, times the length, which would equal 1.5 multiplied by 4. So that would equal 1.5, and 1.5 is 3, and a 3 and a 3 is a 6. So that's going to equal 6 centimetres cubed. Okay, so now we know the volume of our triangular prism. Now, as it says, Jack knows that mass equals density times volume. Okay, and the density of the gold is 19 grams per centimetre cubed. So we just put that down here as part of our working out, because this is, as you can see, this is a 6-point question, so we need to put as much working out as possible onto paper. So this is going to be 19 times 6, and that way we're going to see exactly how dense this gold prism is. So let's just do this calculation over here. So we've got 19 times 6. So 6 times 9 is 54. And 1 times 6 is 6. Plus the 5, which means you're going to get 11. So that's 100. So this equals 114 grams. So we know the cost of the pendant is going to be £40 per gram. So now we can work out how much this pendant will cost to make. So if I just put this down, the cost equals 114 times 40. So let's do this calculation. Multiplied by 40. So we know that we could multiply the thing by 4 and then just times it by 10, which is adding just a 0. So if we just add the 0 now, we can then just complete the calculation times 4. So put the 0 there. Now 4 times 4 is 16. carry the 1. Once times 4 is 4, plus the 1 is 5. And once times 4 again is 4. So now we have the cost, which equals £4,560. But as it says in the question, Jack adds a further £382 to make a profit. So we're going to add this last bit up onto our calculation. So 2 plus 0 is 2. 8 plus 6 is 14. Carry the 1. 5 plus 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 1 is 9. And then we bring the 4 down. And there we have our complete answer. Jack will sell this triangular prism for £4,942. And it's important to show all this working out because, as you can see, this is worth 6 points. So all these separate calculations are going to go towards your marks. If you somehow knew just the answer and just put that, you'd only get 1 point. You need to show that you understand how to use the equations and work them out. I've been Mr. Maths. Please like and subscribe.